boats on a Suffolk coast. I've used a bit of reference material for the boats. The houses don't exist, the view doesn't exist. These sun bleached, eroded trunks of trees, they don't really exist. It's an imaginary one really, based on my experience of Suffolk and Essex and Norfolk for many years. So I'm going to try to do a stormy sky and try to leave areas of this light, and I want to try to get the light coming from here. But first off, I'll wet the paper all over, just give it a bit of a dampen. Don't want it too sopping wet. Hope that the ink doesn't really, the black waterproof ink is waterproof when it's thoroughly dry. So watch that if you use ink, just make sure that it is. So there we are, just that'll do. Now I'm going straight in with some burnt sienna. It's a nice bit of raw sienna as we come down. Right, some over there. I'm going to use a bit of gouache, white gouache, mixed in with some watercolour later on. Now we'll put in some clouds, so use ultramarine and Payne's grey. You can see that, fairly dry. So we'll just have some darkish sort of blue. Right, of course I want this light area here. Now we'll come in some sky colour, darker. A bit of red with the ultramarine and the Payne's grey. Going to town on this. I can go even darker with that, I think. Red, light red, Payne's grey, ultra. Right, okay, with the threatening sky. I'll reclip the paper. The only way I can really do any sort of a roughish sort of sea, or at least to show that there's some movement on the sea, is to use some gouache over some darker painted sea. So a bit experimental this. Right, okay. I might even put some in the sky, but we'll see. But then it won't be a strict watercolour, will it? So a bit of sky colour in the landscape on the blue side. We'll just put that in, take the hairs out, and be careful here. There's a mast. There's just a bit of rigging there. Going uphill. Excuse me in my head. Okay. That'll do. And we'll over there. to do for the land in the distance. I'm still going uphill. Right, that's better. Put some of this on here. So as this goes on, the black ink starts to lay back in the landscape now. That's really dark over that side, so that's good. Right, now we'll put even darker sea there, I think. Burnt sienna, ultramarine. Oh, nasty, nasty sea. I'll go over this with a bit of whites, well, mixed gouache. Bit of sand colour in the water there. All merging there. Right, okay, I'll do it. Very risky this. I'll reclip my paper. Let's put the light on so that makes a difference. Beach, I'll have a go at this beach now. We'll use a very light colour on there, a bit of sienna, a bit of burnt umber. They're merging in. Alright, let's give that a try. Put some bit of dry brush on the beach area now. Bit of dark burnt sienna and Payne's grey. Sienna in there. Shrubby sort of bit of beach vegetation. Right, now Now that that's fairly dry up there, I'm going to just take a liberty. I'm just going to go in straight with some Payne's Grey. And with a wet brush, just flood some of it away. I hope that doesn't go too cauliflowery. Dry it off. Right, it's okay. It's very experimental. Never done this one before. So we're going to start to detail in some of this here while the sky goes off. It's pretty wet. Right, now we're going to some dark. These sails, lovely dark red. Put in some Payne's Grey at the top, mixed with burnt umber. Nice and dark in this. Yeah, wet the paper so that it merges a bit. Oops, just a bit wet there. Not too wet. Take some of that out. Bit of light red in there. Flood it in. So there's light coming through the sail. Alright, just get a bit darker there. Okay. Now on this we have a bit of sail that's been furled in the roughish sort of weather there. I know nothing about boats. Probably if these went out to sea they'll probably sink. But as it is. Now some detail in here, so bit of shadow. Showing a bit of light as well. And we'll put a bit of a red roof on that. It'll show up a bit. Clapboard. Now some little people. bit too obvious. Okay. Give it a dry. Stick of tea. It's got a bit of a mess up there, but we'll have a go at that in a minute. Right, so a bit of someone here, a bit of do something with the boat. Just justify that thick milk there. Oops, I'll do that. There you go. Right, I'll use a bit of a bigger brush here. I'll just use something like this old number 6. I think it's number 6. And I've got this other large butcher's tray here with some colours dotted around, which we did one using paint straight from the tubes. The paint we're using is Cotsman watercolour, student quality. They come in 21mm tubes. I buy mine from Craft Scene, which seems to be the cheapest around. So I'll just wet the brush, and I've got some white on here, some gouache. So I'll mix that with a bit of sienna, raw sienna. See if we can just, no, not heavier than that. We'll call it a watercolour, though it's not strictly a watercolour now because we're using opaque paints. But let's see what happens. Let's see how far, what liberties we can take with it. Some bit of light in there. Yeah, it sort of helps. It all aids. I'm not using pure white. I've got this little bit of sienna, raw sienna mixing with it. Bit of a modified grey over there. Show some clouds in the front, catching a bit of light. A bit more water. Just all in the arsenal, this is. A bit more on that side there. Okay, that'll do for that. Now, bit of grey gouache now, I think. Just to show some dark, really dark, angry sort of clouds. But this is going on opaque, so I mix a bit of umber with it, I think. Warm it up a little bit. Just in the top there. Right, but I don't know what that looks like on the camera. Now, I'm going to squeeze out some more white. I'm going to do these, some stuff in here now. Some waves and things. A bit of blue in there, I think. It's a slight grey. Right, get this nice. That's why I did the background dark. I wanted this to show up. Just a bit more white. Just crashing onto the shore there. Bit of water with that. Right, okay. That'll do for that. I've got to put some masks in yet. I'll just clean my brush. Now I want to put in some sails, some yachty things out on the horizon there. Just braving the weather. Right, big brush for the mast. It's an ordinary palette. It's an inch flat, this, and acrylic brush. We'll just show some detail there. Right, can't do any more than that. I think I don't know if I've improved the sky or what, but as an experiment, been using mixed media. I'll still call it a watercolour because it mostly is. There's line and wash, and a bit of gouache in the sky here and there. I'll put that in a minute. I can't think of anything else I want to put in there. Well, maybe a bit of gouache and a bit of a red sail, Let's see what that looks like. It's the only way you can paint over here. Anyway, you can paint it opaque and get it to show dark and dark. So that's just about right. I'll put that in a mount and we'll see what we've done. The sky might be a bit muddy, but yeah. Well, there we are. It's a bit muddy, but it's not too bad. It's quite a. There's enough interest in the picture with the boats and the figures. I can't think that I've left anything out. A bit of light on the beach, plenty of light in the sky to counteract the darkness, and the horizon, a little bit of gouache there, and these waves. The other dodge we used to use a lot of was a razor blade or a craft blade, and when it's bone dry you can scrape the highlights off, but it ruins the paper, but whatever gives an effect. So I don't reckon that's too bad for a watercolour. Let's just zoom in a bit more. So you can see just a bit of detail on the beach, and those boats, little figures, a large barge, sailing barge, and a bit of a rough sea and sky. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. If you didn't, comment on it and say a load of rubbish. Have a good weekend. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.